Hey guys, what's going on? Greenfield Gear. Really excited for this video today. I have a bunch of cool pickups to show you. This is probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 months of kind of pickups that I just have been holding to do a kind of longer, for me anyway, video for you. Here they are. I think for 9 or so PSA slabs, vintage Hall of Famers. So all of these cards are 50s, 60s, 70s. There's a rookie card in here, and there's a guy actually who's not in the Hall of Fame, but should be. So you could stick around. That'll be the last card I show. But I'm kind of doing them sequentially from the 50s. I should also say that one of the cards in here is a Grail card for me. It's a card that I sort of stalked for a long time, and I just can't believe that I own it. So that's kind of sandwiched in here too. So there, if that doesn't build up the suspense, I don't know what will. But let's get started on these, and I'll start showing them to you. First up is my first 1953 Topps card. I didn't have a single one. And this is a mini Minoso. You can see where my thumb is there. That corner is pretty rough on that red. But it's nicely centered, and what a beautiful set. I wish I had more of these, of course, but it's a tough set cost-wise for a humble collector like me. But here it is, the Mini Minoso, a player that I really like, and I really like collecting, kind of my kind of player, of course, from Cuba, and stole a lot of bases, and I like players like that. If you know my channel and that kind of stuff, I like Ichiro, and I like Juan Pierre and players like that. I've always been a fan of guys like that. So anyway, there it is. It's in a PSA 2.5, which felt right to me. This felt like a good price. It didn't break the bank, but I got into a Hall of Famer in the 53 set. And so that's really fun. So it ticked a couple boxes for me because, like I said, first card in that set, and it was a Hall of Famer. So I get to add it to this run. So basically what I have been doing with this run is I have one of those, forgive me, but it's actually really good for the storage. One of those Zion cases with the 4 rows. I guess it's the XL size. And that's kind of where I house my vintage Hall of Famers. And they're all PSA cards. I try to keep that consistent, and they just look great in there. And I'm having a blast building that up in the last few years. Maybe slightly more than a few years now at this point. This one I did a short. I don't know if anybody watches those, but I just thought it would be fun when I was in the mountains of Montana, and I showed this card. So if you want to, you can go check out my short. But it was when that card came in the mail. And it's this 1957 Topps Al Kaline, and it's a real beauty. I think the card looks great, nicely centered, pretty sharp corner there, the bottom right, and there's the back of the card. So whatever this is, 4th or 5th year here for Al. A Tiger's great, and a Hall of Famer, of course. And I just love that card. I just think that's a great looking baseball card with the pose, and 57, and the photography is so great. Anyway, so was happy to get to add that one to the collection. Okay, now we're getting to this Grail card. If you watch the channel, you know this, but I'm slowly but surely building up the 1960 Topps set. And if I say that, you probably think that there's a couple of cards in there that are big cards. You've got to have the Yaz rookie, which I've shown on previous videos. You can definitely go back and watch some previous videos like this, 50s, 60s Hall of Famers, and that one will pop up. But this one was kind of the biggest that I had to get in the set. And it won't surprise you if you're a vintage collector, because often, if it's not the Yaz rookie or the McCovey rookie in 1960 or the Jim Cott rookie, you got to get this card. And I got it. So I had to stock this card for quite a bit. I looked at a lot of different copies over a couple of years, and this was the one for me. So this is the 1960 Topps Mickey Mantle card 350, and it just felt so good to get finally my copy. Now, it's a PSA 1, and it says poor. To me, this is a classic by the card, not the grade. There's no real creasing on it or anything. There's a little bit of staining. This corner on the right above outfield on the upper right is kind of crunched. The bottom left is crunched, I guess. And there is that crease through the cartoon, but you really have to kind of squint to see that. And when I hold it like that, it just looks like a great vintage baseball card to me. You may disagree and say, I'd never want to own that card. But I am really excited to have it in my collection. I just think it's beautiful. And I wanted this card for a long time, and I was just patient. I saw other copies. I think I put in some offers on some other copies, and it never felt quite right. Maybe technically a 2 or a 3, something like that, but maybe the centering wasn't great. I just feel really fortunate that I got this one. So that's it. That's my 1960 Mantle. That was a real Grail card. It was kind of the top of my want list for a super long time, and I can't believe that I have it. Not too long after it, I got another pretty big card from the 1960 set, and it's the Clemente. Also, for Greenville Gear, for me as a collector, this is my first Clemente. I went back through my box and I thought, I don't have another Clemente, and I don't. So, card 326 and a PSA 3, Roberto Bob Clemente. Just unbelievable. And so, I was able to really knock out a couple of big cards. There's a bunch of all-star cards I need to get, but I have the Mays. I think I need the Hank Aaron, actually, is another big one. But I've got the Yaz, I've got the Jim Cott, I've got the McCovey. So, I'm getting there. Just having a blast. So there's the Bob Clemente. What a beautiful card, too. Love the colors. Love the pirate symbol. Just awesome. So we'll put Bob back there, too. Sorry, it keeps focusing forwards and backwards, but you all, I think, probably understand. I like to keep those in the background. Next card, also from the 1960s, is a guy I've been trying to get more cards of, frankly, as a Red Sox fan and being in New England. And it's Carl Yastrzemski. And so this is a 1964 Topps. This is card 210. And he looks young. I love this card. I just think it looks great. The green is nice. If you're curious, it's a PSA 5. But I just think it looks great. Pretty sharp. Nicely centered. There's the back. Back's got a little wear on it. You know, that's okay. It's got that rubbed part, so the little cartoon appears. That's fine. But there it is. Yaz. In a 64. I think that's a cool card. So that one's going in my collection. Excited to do that. The rest of these, I think, are, these are all from the 70s. And they're all Hall of Famers. Here's a Ted Simmons. Probably not one of the Hall of Famers that gets people the most excited, but, if you're in the Hall, that's good enough for me. This is a PSA 7, and what I really like about this is actually an O-Pee-Chee. So it makes it a little different. And so it's a nice grade, good collector's grade. And there's the French on the back for the O-Pee-Chee. So the Ted Simmons, who was just a consistent player for a long time and just kind of compiled the stats over his career. And so there's that. That's the 1978 O-Pee-Chee. Jumping around a little bit, here's a 77 Topps. Dennis Eckersley, still to my memory, one of the best pitchers I ever saw. I remember watching him in the 80s when he had that great run with the A's, and he was just that lights out closer. But here's Eck. Now, of course, does the announcing for the Red Sox and so on. But here he is with the Indians Guardians, PSA 7. Just a cool card. It was too good of a deal to pass up. You know, to get a second year Eckersley, pretty neat. So that one's going in the collection. I just think that's a great Hall of Fame baseball card from the 70s. And I've been dipping more into the 70s cards because they're fun to collect. And, you know, sometimes the 50s and 60s stuff, I just, you know, have a hard time spending the money. But I love the joy that these cards bring me. This was a card that I wanted for a long time. Also from the 78 set. And this is a Hall of Fame rookie. Love the Rookie Cup. Love the follow-through swing. This is Eddie Murray from the 78 set. Card number 36. So not just Hall of Fame, but Hall of Fame rookie. So I had to really kind of, like the Mantle card, I stalked this one for a while. I saw different versions, but I never saw one that I liked centered like this one. Now it's not so centered on the back. You could probably see that. But to my eye here, the front of the card, just a beauty. So got the Eddie Murray rookie. Really excited. That'll probably go in my display case over the desk here at Greenville Gear HQ. Last card is a guy who's not a Hall of Famer, but I think should be. And I had this in an SGC 3, and I bit the bullet, and I got this in a PSA 4 because I wanted to be consistent with the rest of my collection. And actually, this version is much nicer. 71 tops, such a hard set with that black border. But this is the Thurman Munson card, and I think just one of the coolest cards. Just one of the coolest cards. It's also got the Rookie Cup. Obviously, technically not his rookie card. That's the 70 tops, but this is, I think for most collectors, the more desirable card. I think that's not a controversial statement. And for good reason, right? What a great action shot. And here's the back of the card. You can see the green is pretty intact. The other one I had was a little rougher. So this was ostensibly an upgrade for me, but it also meant that I could put it in my Hall of Fame run. So I'll probably keep it in the box. Maybe I'll put it in a separate row. And then if and when Munson makes the Hall, we'll ceremoniously slide him over. So anyway, that's the cards. Just really a lot of fun. It was fun to share those with you, especially, obviously, the Mantle and the Clemente. But all of these, the Eddie Murray rookie, the Munson upgrade, I just had a blast collecting these over the months, and I just was really excited to get to show them to you. So thanks as always for watching. Really appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next video. Okay, take care.